And we'll jump in right away. Call the meeting to order. First order of the business, of course, is reviewing the minutes from the March 24th meeting. Hoping everyone had a chance to review. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve them.
Stacy. Second by Nicole. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I saw that, Glenn. Motion passed. Next item, tapping into committee updates. Nikki, for the names that you guys have for the historical, are you pretty good with that roster? Everything's pretty well flushing out.
So we are currently in the process of still doing some research on some of those names.
Okay.
I am trying to set up a time with our National Guard historian, or one of our historians.
Shirley.
He's going to give me access to the microfilm for World War I. I was questioning one of those names because it said Mandan, but then it also said Galva.
I know which one you're.
But on the census, it says Mandan.
Yep.
So I just want to do some checking. I'm going to get access to their files on microfilm. Hopefully they're going to be somewhat legible. At least on two of those names.
Yep.
And I'm working on one other one from the Korean War, but yeah, it's still a process that's ongoing. We're still doing as much research as we can to validate those names.
I do have, and I got it from the Mandan American Legion Post, but I do have the 4 volumes of records from World War I, the hard copy volumes. You've seen those? Yeah, they published a roster of all North Dakotans that served in World War I. And they're
yeah, the big
Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
Those I do have access to, but I did find some additional resources too that I'm going to check into some additional information on those guys.
Okay. Parameters, criteria for rostering future names, just heads up for that committee. Remember, we discussed this at our last meeting and the full committee approved the criteria with the one amendment to bring forth to the county commission if there was ever somebody petitioning to be added and they don't meet the qualifications. The short story is that was also presented to the county commission and it has been adopted. So it is now a formal policy that we will enact from this point forward as we're looking at these names to be from this point forward, any names that will be added that's not on the existing wall as it is right now, they must meet that criteria. And then fundraising committee, we have no updates from our last meeting. So moving on. Glenn, Stacy, if you guys want to go in your email, I sent out an updated for balloting purposes, really narrowing this down a little. I'll throw this up. Narrowing this down a little further. If you remember, we started with 50 names for the plaza and we started with, I think it was 50 quotes for the plaza. And we are down to 8 names, just as we are continuing to call these down. We're down to 8 considerations. And go into your email and you will see the document that's got round 4. If you guys want to select 2 names off of that list of 8, I'll be transparent. There's a couple of names that are really moving to the forefront, but again, continuing to call this down. And then same thing for the quotes. We're down to 9 from what originally started as 50. If you want to make your recommendation for 3 of those 9, And the intention is hoping we can get that flushed out tonight to confirm what these final will be. The intention.
Just sent mine to you.
I heard something chime in.
I just sent mine to you. Same as the rest of them. I don't know why my highlighting doesn't work, so I just struck through what I didn't want.
That works. Stacy, you can do the same. If you want to just email it back or just email whatever your selections are, whichever works.
I'm working on it, just getting it opened up so I can see what the heck.
Okay.
The pick two.
2 for the plaza names. And again, we'll see how this all whittles down, but the intention is to be able to have one clear winner. And then same thing for the quotes. We're down to 9, so picking 3. The intention is to have at least 2 solid recommendations.
Recording in progress.
Might want to mute your speaker too then. Okay, and with that, I will turn it over to Al and Jake for their presentation as I tabulate these. So for those of you remotely, you're able to see the images? Or are you still seeing the agenda? Glenn, Stacy,
Let me get to
I
that.
can see it.
you're seeing the image?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
and Al and Jake?
Yep, well. Jake and Haley have made the recommendation changes that were recommended from the last. We have basically, reduced quite a bit of the landscaping that was along the north side of the plaza. And added the flower boxes, which are also being used as our
Come in here. Come here.
perimeter hardening,
Mm-hmm.
and then have the monument right now using that precast stone. And I just kind of depicted as reddish, but I mean the colors that can be decided. And the other main thing was locating the Medal of Honor plaques just off the main entry, but before you get to the main
Mm-hmm.
entry.
Go ahead.
And then also the soldier, the image be cast on, which is basically behind the other monument there.
Yeah,
Anything else there?
I think Nikki brought up the idea of having the saluting soldier shadow, the light kind of come out of the back of the combat cross. So we really liked how that turned out. And I think it creates some interest from nighttime to daytime too. Obviously that shadow wouldn't be there during the day, but you show up at night and it's like, wow, this is cool. I haven't seen this before. So gives you kind of a reason to revisit the site during different times of the day. And I think that turned out pretty cool. We had a lot of conversation about the wall itself and whether it's curved or it's glass or it's precast concrete. I think you guys can direct us, but I feel like you've got a lot of time to kind of work through those details. And what's important now is maybe getting a placeholder in there and understanding what the cost of the whole project is, and give you guys some time to kind of continue to chew on those things. So we looked at a curved wall section, and the one thing that we were kind of struck by is it kind of pushed up into that seating area that's behind the wall. So we opted to show the straight wall section because it has a little bit more room behind the wall itself for that seating node. But yeah, everything else, I hope we reflected a lot of the changes that we talked about. Vast reduction in the planting beds. I think you could count on a lot of perennials being used, and maybe the 4-H kids come back in and plant the annuals, the flowers that give you a pop of color here and there, but it seems a lot more manageable, reducing the size of the planting beds. We really tried to be intentional about where we're putting those. So in the background of this image, you can see how it's kind of framing in the combat cross and the saluting soldier, those smaller planting beds. And then on the front, as Al alluded to, those planting beds are being used for perimeter hardening and to kind of add some color around the monument sign is the intent there. But we looked at some older photos of this plaza space, and at one point there really weren't any planting beds out here at all. It was just grass and hardscape, and there's something kind of elegant about that. It looks nice. It looks very formal and manicured, just having that grass without the planting bed. So I think it makes some sense to scale back on some of those items. We can go through a couple more images. This image you can kind of see in the paver pattern of the hardscape. We're using what's called a herringbone pattern. It kind of creates that zigzag pattern, and that was to pay homage to the original wall design in some form or fashion. I think we could really kind of play that up a little bit more and think more about the details and the materials, but get you guys thinking a little bit about how the material selections can really add to the overall design of the plaza space. And then again, that the bronze inlay in the interior of the plaza, again, that could either be that uplight or it could just be an all bronze sort of paver inlay. We'll go to the next slide. This is kind of just showing the back side of the wall. Again, I think we got to spend some more time in future phases exploring what all fits on the wall. Do the quotes go on the front? Do they go on the back? Do you want some sort of an etching of a soldier's face or something on there beyond just words? I think those are things that we can kind of start to think about as the design progresses. We did take a look at, I think last meeting we talked about there's approximately 150 names. I can't remember Haley, I don't think she's on the call, but we laid out all the names. I think it was a 2-inch height, letter height with a certain amount of spacing just to see what would all fit. And what we found is 150 names pretty much fills up the whole front of all 3 of those panels. So what that would do is, again, fill up the whole front, leave the back side for additions, quotes, whatever you want, or you might kind of move some of those things around. Maybe, again, the quotes maybe go in the front, you have some names in the back, but we wanted to test fit to see how much real estate we really needed. And I think it's the size of these is starting to feel pretty good.
I think in your earlier email, you had said 1-inch letters.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we might
2-inch would.
getting to be pretty
Yeah.
pretty big. Yeah, we might double check on our way out tonight the height of the letters on the existing monument just to see.
They're not very high.
Yeah, okay.
Might be 3/4.
Okay. Good reminder, Al. Go to the next slide.
While you have that
Oh,
slide,
sure,
up,
yeah.
and I apologize to Jake because I haven't talked to him about this. I think one thing about the wall right now, basically, I would almost like to separate them a little bit so that, both, along the line, but also have them separated so that maybe 2 are in the front or 1 in the back, so that you could also be able to better walk around it.
I think that would be important if in fact we do end up putting names on the backside of the one large panel.
Right.
That would help encourage that
Right.
walkthrough.
And also be able to read if we're gonna put the sayings on the backside or wherever.
Mhm.
But I think to be able to walk around and maybe through the panels would be an important thing.
A little bit more interactive that
Sorry, I
way.
didn't talk
No,
about
that's,
that.
that's what these meetings are for.
Yeah. I can see that being a little bit more interactive.
Yeah, right.
And then in the renderings, like the base of the combat cross, the intent there is to use the existing granite that's out in the field. It would have to be machined and kind of cut to fit those things, but I think that existing granite can be used for the base of these signs, depending on the walls, sorry, depending on the final design of the walls, but also the base of the combat cross, and then also the Medal of Honor plaques as well. Go to the next one. There's that raised planter. Again, we could use the granite for that. I think in the image it's depicted as the same material, a precast as the memorial walls. But it could also be that granite material as well.
Nighttime. Just going back here.
Yep.
Said daytime, nighttime.
We like the idea of you guys will select the name obviously for the plaza and that monument sign, but the idea of having the flowers kind of low lying kind of accentuates that sign, makes it pop. And then Ray, you talked about having some lights in the planting beds. I think we could do some uplighting on the sign as well. I think that would be important. And then this is a plan view up in that upper left-hand corner. You can see those 4 little monuments. We have another image that will show the zoom in of that, but feels like a nice spot. It's we're kind of holding that oval shape, the ellipse sacred. That's the area for the remembering of the war dead. Then up off the upper left-hand side, that's the Medal of Honor. You see those folks as you're coming and going out of the building. So loved your guys' thoughts on recommending that location. It seems like it fits pretty well up in that corner. And we also like the amount of concrete up in that corner. It seems from a maintenance perspective to keep that pretty easy to clean and prevent some of the drifting up in that corner as well, hopefully.
So this area here, that's all just single level. We're just tiering with the plants.
Yeah.
For the
Yep.
elevations. Okay.
Yep. No grade change or anything like that. Yep. And I think Haley's got one additional image of those Medal of Honor. There you go. It's kind of off to the right-hand side. So again, you guys would spend some time on the exact design of those, whether it's a portrait or something etched in bronze with a little bit of the story or background. But in the rendering, we're showing those mounted on that granite material, and create some cohesion and flow around the rest of the plaza.
And that's the end.
Yep. So those are the big updates. I think the only area we feel a little unresolved is the wall itself. Is it curved? Is it glass? Is it precast? And just because of how important that wall is, it might be something that you continue to talk about in future meetings or continue to chew on. But just yeah, want to hear your thoughts
Well,
on that.
I do appreciate Al's comment of staggering them, offsetting them. I would agree 100%. I was thinking the same earlier because it does provide fluidity. It allows for people to move through. It allows people to experience all dimensions of it. The size is a question as far as the wall. In my opinion, the size is a question. I think that comes into play as we start looking at what goes on it.
Mhm.
That's really going to play that one. I like the layout that's being presented. I appreciate the grass because I think that allows children, give them just a place to tumble. The plantings are very simple but yet elegant. A touch of class, a touch of local flavor as we Nate Kautzman was here at the last meeting. And between the 4-H group as well as the Daughters of American Revolution, the two of them actually work together on the plantings of our courtyard at the moment. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but the shadow of the saluting soldier being a little bit more combat-esque. Because you can see the pack, you can see the rifle barrel, you can see a helmet versus the static uniform. So that is an appreciation from me. I like that look. I personally like that look gooder, much gooder.
With that, though, I do have a question on where that is situated between those two windows. There is actually a slab of granite in between those two windows. Is that, do you think, going to affect the shadow in visibility?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there should be some sort of a treatment on the wall facade as part of the project. Maybe it's to pull that off and maybe you kind of lighten up the color of the paint or something there. It's a really important question.
It is a little bit darker and I don't know. if it
Yeah.
affects the shadow.
Yeah.
I took a picture of last commission meeting. When I left, the parking lot was quite empty and the sun was good. So I took a shot of that. I'll email it to the two of you.
Sure.
But in that specific location, right in the center here is an approximate 16-inch wide slab of granite.
Yep.
And then the other slab is right about here. And that one's about 9 foot, 10 foot wide.
My other question too, I know that we can't move handicap parking signs. Are those gonna remain in the back of the sidewalk? Or are we able to move those forward?
In a separate conversation with Don Roan, the city of Mandan has the city sidewalk of this property on their repair list. And part of the discussion is going to be incorporating better positioning for the handicap accessible parking spots and signage. So it works better for access, but also in this case, making sure we don't lose that curb appeal with the signage. In the city, if I remember correctly, Don was saying it was intended to be this summer. But
I
if
don't think so.
But if we had the chance to work with the city and tie it in this time frame or after this is done.
First Street from 4th west to 6th Avenue is 2026. So you would be looking at 27 at the earliest.
So it can time
and
well
maybe
then.
even later. And that's gonna depend on the funding. I know the city has got a grant application out for 35 million, which is gonna be from 2nd Street all the way to Division. Between Collins and 6th Avenue. But with, I think, what Trump is doing. What Trump is doing, I see that as a lot. But I don't see it being done until 27 at the very earliest.
Work with the city and implement our own move.
I suppose one of the other things we should look at with regards to the shadow line would be, we have that horizontal element on the building too. That's limestone, I believe.
I think it's more
well,
ethos.
I think
isn't
it's ephes.
No, that horizontal element, we didn't cover that. That's, I think that might be even be a precast concrete. but it's projected out from the face of the ephes.
That beige.
Yes,
Would it be a big deal to add some EPIS or something that just kind of creates that more consistent on the face of the wall, so it's maybe one color where the shadow shows up or something like that?
yeah, we may need to address that, yes, in some form, some manner.
Jake, what's your associate's name?
Haley?
Haley. Okay. Okay, I just emailed you that. And while that is still being shown. Let me share this for the whole world to see. So this was taken about a week ago. So by the layout, running across here in front of this area would be the proposed wall itself. In front of this area is a proposed shadow presentation, or the Soldier's Cross, both presentations. Planting bed would be across this. This egress point would be just a tad bit wider, if I remember right. And then the placard name would be across here. Plantings accordingly, plantings back here accordingly, back here accordingly. And across this area here would be the medals of honor recipients. And benches. This is the drop box. By design, it's being positioned over here. Flagpole in the back would be positioned up front here. We have these existing downlights. And across here, downlights. This is what we're referring to with that granite. And this is what Al was just referring to, that horizontal lines.
With regards to the lighting, I did meet with Jeremy Buckman from Prairie Engineering, Dr. Lighting, make them aware of the project to assist us in putting together that opinion of cost for lighting.
Yep.
And we'll need to address those ugly fixtures.
These are sodium chloride too, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think we should be talking about LED
Yes. A lot big cost savings. And cleaner.
and cleaner light.
Yep.
Those were all the raging acceptance.
Mhm. So we'll go around the table again. Nikki? Questions, comments, observations?
The only other comment that I have is I do like that the planter boxes match the same material as the memorial itself. I think it ties together really well. And I mean, we have different textures and different colors kind of all throughout. So I like that they tied it like that. Otherwise, I really seeing it like this, really brings it a little bit closer to reality. I like what I'm seeing. The other thing too, I myself am kind of leaning toward the flat panels myself. We talked about curved panels as well, but I think that flat panels are going to be, people are going to be more willing to walk around the back as well, whereas the curved panels, I don't know if people are going to, the flow, I don't know if the flow is going to be better. I think that, in my opinion.
And with that, I had some email messaging from Jake and Al too regarding glass versus concrete, so we'll have that discussion after a little bit here. Share your inputs on that. Scott?
I love it. I think, I agree with the flat panels. And I think it kind of, we've got a lot of curvature going on. And the wall itself is a big contrast to pretty much everything your eyes are taking in, so it kind of draws you to that difference. From where we started to where we are now, yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. I like the position of the Medal of Honor. It's included, but it's not really part of the memorial itself. I like bringing the grass in. I think it looks cleaner. That whole military thing kicks in. You know, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, who's gonna be the first one to step on a sign?
They don't know the story though.
So the grass in every military installation belongs to the highest ranking NCO on that post.
Mhm.
And the worst thing that you can do as a human being is to step on his grass.
Yep. Yep.
Civilians can roll around it and grab the cars and whatever.
We're gonna drop-
You step on that grass.
We're gonna drop signs, stay off the gunny's grass.
Yep. But it gives you kind of that, a little bit of parade feel
Mhm.
to it.
We didn't have any grass at Fort Leonard.
No, there's not.
Well, Marine Corps is the same. You still stayed off of it.
Yep.
I tell my wife, get off the grass.
Yep.
Makes the grass grow green.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of all the people that have walked on the sign.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really like it.
Glenn?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Going through all the renderings and stuff like that, I do agree. A little more separation in the panels. Like you said, adds a little fluidity to moving in and around the monument itself. The Medal of Honor area, that's perfect. That it, like you said, it takes them outside of that, outside of the oval, which the oval is designates for the war dead, but it keeps them in the same area. You can look at the monument, you can go over, you can look at the Medal of Honor plaques. That you're talking about the silhouette in the back, and a couple of the renderings actually show, if you look close enough, it shows that marble in a couple of them. Or at least it looks like it's the marble panel is there. But that is that concrete that goes around that in between, right above those windows? Is that like a little concrete ledge?
That horizontal banding, that's what we're questioning. I guess without clarity, we'd have to step outside and touch and feel,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was precast concrete,
or
or
limestone.
it was cast in place concrete. Actually,
So 10 inches either side of that silhouette, I'd say my suggestion would be remove the marble and go with 2 precast concrete panels above and below that band to create that solid concrete background for the silhouette to reflect off of. And then other than that, the only question I've got is going back to the the combat cross. The block that it's sitting on, is there going to be a plaque of any kind? Is it just gonna be nothing but stone or whatever? Or is there gonna be something on there?
I
That,
think that's up to us, Glenn.
That might be a nice spot
maybe,
for
maybe
a,
maybe one of the quotes,
Mhm.
a runner-up in the quotes, you
Yep.
know, or whatever, could go on the front of that. And be a short quote. But you know, a good one for something like that. Only the dead have seen the end of war. You know, something short, small, to the point, as a quote on that. But other than that, over the last 2 or 3 different times that we've gone through all this stuff and looked at it, I think you guys nailed it. Looked really, really good.
Glenn, if I can extract from you a little bit more and to help Jake and Al out here. So what you're thinking, what you mentioned is if this were to be removing that granite, approximately 16-inch wide piece that's running vertical, is making this a neutral color tone. Obviously filling this lower section, but are you suggesting taking it all the way up?
Not all the way up, maybe up, you know, however tall that silhouette is going to be on that wall.
Okay.
Make it go a foot either side of the silhouette and a foot past the head.
Or on just point of reference, drop it halfway between the 2 floors,
Yeah.
if you can see where the cursor is.
And I don't know, you know, because if you look at like the third slide in that presentation, kind of like cuts the silhouette in half if you're not looking straight at it.
Mm-hmm.
So have the precast panels come away from the brick wall, even with that concrete band that goes around or whatever that is.
Right.
And just give a solid from the ground up, up to about where that light line is, right where your cursor is at.
Right there across. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, wide enough so that it captures the entire silhouette, but that gives it a, like you said, a neutral, more light colored background for that
Okay.
dark silhouette to reflect off of.
And as structurally, I think that can easily be accomplished with an ephes, just building out the ephes so it's flush.
Yeah.
Al, you probably went out to verify.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is a precast concrete.
What
Yeah.
we're
The other thing is that the base of the ephes below that horizontal is set in further than the ephes above it.
Hmm.
So we've got, well, 2 different planes on the building, plus we have that horizontal.
so
So
is,
it's gonna be some work that we're gonna have to do to get that flat surface.
is that precast structural then?
No. It, they're, it's just a facing.
what we were discussing while you stepped out was, as Glenn had mentioned, just getting a little more clarity from him, was if we were to run that whole panel or a good chunk of respectable area of that panel in this lower level and extending it approximately this area so it's above the shadow line, and have that just one dimensional all the way up. So that's where, the thought is maybe incorporating just a build out of ephes.
I would rather do some other material rather than
Sure,
more substantial.
sure.
It'd be the same or similar limestone that you see in the courthouse lettering with that logo, or is that?
That's
That's a little bit of,
that's what I would recommend.
oh, yeah, okay, yep. The actual facade, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. What they're referencing is over here, the existing courthouse. Get back to that other picture. And I don't have a, but this area right here is a limestone block. So,
That limestone, we tied that limestone in. We faced the front of the office addition with limestone. And we also trimmed it. So some of the limestone trim that you see around the windows of the office building, that's limestone.
Okay.
That's how we tied the two together.
Okay.
That would really
But-
create a nice, beautiful, stark background for the combat cross, even during the day. That's just gonna really make it pop.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's all the
And
stuff that's-
then, like I said, maybe something on the face of it, a quote or,
Of the pedestal for
Something.
the combat cross.
yes.
And let me get this back up again for you, Stacy.
But yeah, good job, guys. That looks really awesome.
Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
I like the overall design. I think we need to have some future talk about exactly how the Medal of Honor things are gonna be, if we're gonna use pedestal like that or something else. But otherwise, I really have not had a conversation. I'm just sort of think this will work. There's other things we can fine tune later meetings, but
Mhm.
I really can't nitpick this thing, anything that I think should be really changed. I heard some talk about the panels getting full and have to use the back. That's the only thing I think we should look into, make sure we don't have happen that we make it too small at the beginning. Cause I do think we will add names to it in the future. But that's all I got to say.
Then I'll add in a few more back to the wall itself, the memorial wall, which is why I was asking Nikki on the historical side, how solid we are with the roster names. So we can really start scaling in what we need for a size. But back to the wall size and the wall composition. So the target on the wall composition, that goes back to what Al and Jake gave me in an email discussion. I think is when you sent me this rendering, if I remember right, maybe right before that. Okay, you want to add your comments on that, the glass versus precast versus,
Jake has researched that.
okay,
Didn't share my screen of a project example, if that's okay.
if you have it, think of me.
If I can find it. Player screen. Oh, there we go. Vignette. Hmm. Okay, maybe you have to stop share. Okay, let's try that.
There we go. You guys seeing that image?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
With the glass panels?
So this is a pretty fancy project. It's the American Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial in DC. And what they've done is these are solid tempered glass panels. And you can see on the bottom they have that metal base, and there's some lighting in that metal base, and it just kind of lights up the glass. And so the whole thing kind of glows. So when you guys were initially talking about glass panels, this is where I thought you guys were trying to point us towards, something like this. But I think you guys were talking more about a precast wall with glass that's attached to it. So we could explore something that's a little bit less exotic than this, but it's kind of an interesting idea to have a wall that's semi-transparent that kind of glows. But Ray brought up the point of cost, that, you know, this is going to be something substantially more expensive than precast with panels attached to it. We could talk to, if this was something you guys wanted to explore, we could talk to some sign companies and, you know, see what it would take to make something like this happen. But we just wanted to share it as an example.
Definitely stunning.
The only place in North Dakota. Have something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, when you shared this with me in that email, I was like, that's a dramatic image. That's a very dramatic image. I've seen it, but I really haven't paid that close attention to it until, you know, coming forward like this. But the thickness of this though, this is what, about a 1 inch?
So if you look at this image, you can kind of see the cross section of the glass. That's probably a 4-inch tempered glass.
Okay.
And they talk about, you can see some notes in the verbiage there. It's 5 layered, kind of squashed together. So I believe what they did is there's some graphics printed on the back side of one of the layers, and then it's just kind of smushed together, sandwiched together to kind of protect what was printed on the backside of one of those layers. But that gives it the rigidity it needs. So you don't have to worry so much about vandalism. So if this was something that you guys were interested in exploring, I think the best approach is to go to a signage company or something and say, here's the general idea of what we want to do. Do you guys have some ideas of how we would build this thing? Because Al and I could kick around some ideas for sure, but we might as well go to the folks that would end up building something like this and get their feedback on it.
So asking you guys, what are your thoughts as far as glass panel versus precast concrete versus precast concrete with a glass panel face?
I like it. I like the fact that you can kind of see through it, but you can't. You know,
The fog of war.
exactly. That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
Where it's at, I don't think we have to worry a whole lot about vandalism. I mean,
Or storms, because it's going to be pretty well protected.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
My big thing is the cost. I have a meeting set up with Indigo Signs for Thursday. I can certainly bring it up and see if they have any ideas.
And I've been working with Bismarck Science for the same regard too, so it's easy to reach out.
Yeah.
At least investigative.
I mean, it would put that in that picture, that rendition, and it definitely makes a statement.
Stacy, Glenn, Nikki?
I think this looks nice, but I think it's, when I'm looking at my screen here, I think it's probably too over the top for what we want. I'd like to concrete with the glass panels attached to it, like I thought we've been talking about. Granted, this is very nice, but I don't know if this is in the budget we want to do either, but I wouldn't know what the cost of this is. I'm just thinking this is way more expensive than our original plan.
That's my hesitation too. I love it. I'm on board with it, but my reservation is cost. And I hate to say it, but we back in living the Dapple days, I'm hesitant about the vandalism.
I'm thinking glass just puts a target on it for kids, for whatever. Even raised the idea that we had about having raised glass panels on the stone background with the backlighting. I don't know what the difference in cost would be, but I just think it might invite that vandalism element.
Well, Scott and I we'll dig into it, at least get ideas on what generalities would be for the cost. But if I hear correctly, the consensus is still staying with the precast concrete with the glass panel that's elevated from the precast concrete. Yes?
Yeah.
But we'll investigate costs on this though.
Yep.
And if it comes out, lesser two evils or on par with each other, and we'll cross that road.
I would think we should be able to contact this organization that has those panels and find out
Who they did.
what they did and how they did it and.
Yeah, because this was in 2014, according to this, which means design wise, they're probably 2011, 2012.
Yeah. But still, where you're putting your money has got to be in this money, not necessarily in
The hardscape.
landscape. So you need, that still needs to be your priority.
Mhm.
That's would be my suggestion.
I think, I don't know that it's worth us contacting the folks that built this monument. I saw the price tag associated with this and it was jarring how much money they spent on this project.
It's DC too, though.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a DC, yeah, this is a national monument, so. I like the approach of taking a picture, printing it off, going to a local printing company and say, maybe we can build this out of acrylic. I don't know.
Right.
They'll have some ideas. How can we build something similar cost effectively? They'll have some ideas.
Okay. Okay. Then again, back to the wall size. Obviously, in my head, and I think we've conveyed this before as well, we have the three panels. The outboard panels are of a different size with same elevation, different width. And as we just discussed here briefly, is offsetting those panels. But looking at that center panel, that center wall, having that at such a width that helps offset the two side panels, flanking panels. So it serves as that grounding point, if you will. But also making sure that's wide enough, so whatever we have for fonts, again, going back to the names, that they fit on one line with adequate spacing. So if we're scaling them, as Jake had mentioned, he's test running at 1 inch size font, what that would come into play for overall size, and then allowing a little bit more see if we get a good shot of it in here. But again, so the names are all on one line, adequate size for easy reading, adequate size for adequate spacing between each, the name, the location, that sort of thing. That'll dictate what the size of that center panel will be. In addition to the number of names. And what did I say at the county commission meeting? Was it 164? Does that sound about right?
I think so. And I feel like we are pretty close to that number. Don't know that we're gonna have a whole lot of things
Okay.
added to that. But I feel like
Give or take 3, 4. Listing on front and back, we won't be able to determine that at this phase. Once we get into the actual production phase, that's a whole nother detailing. But that's where my immediate question is going to be is, making sure that these wall panels are set proportionally for those purposes. And the quotes would also kind of dictate how big those flanking ones will be too. Glenn's comment about putting a quote in with the saluting soldier or the soldier's cross. We're thinking the same thing here as well. Something very succinct, very simple, tying in with that. But then I also want to dive in on this center, the medallion, the beam of light, or what do we want that? Do we want that as that beam of light?
I think we put a big old beam of light coming out, we're gonna pull off with the saluting soldier in the background, and you can think, is there a way to do it that it's just kind of a glow? Think of, lack of a better example, Iron Man's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just some sort of a glow to it, so it's just.
That
one
just
more thing,
floods that area.
Kind of pulls you into the center.
cue ACDC.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm just thinking aloud here. Because I think at one point there was discussion about in this circle, the bronze circle or brass, whatever it might be, is dropping the service seals of the respective branches of service. Okay. Throw this out as a dialogue, but let this be that a flooding light. But again, elevated on top of that be the seal of Morton County. Because then it pushes that light out. Make it a downlight. Just conversation. We just add another, $20 to it, but
We've seen a raised panel.
Yeah.
In that center.
have a little bit. Let's say if this is at 16 inches, maybe that seal would be at a 15 inch. So have a little bit of a glow on the outside edges, but it would force a lot of that light down and across that concrete or the brick.
So it would all be the same height, but it would just have a glowing outer ring, or would it be,
Elevated a
Raised.
little bit.
okay,
It wouldn't have to be much.
No, because it's gonna be a trip hazard.
Yeah.
Again, that's just a thought that as I'm looking at this.
Even if it's half,
Quarter inch.
just enough that light can come out and flood across the seals. It would be kind of a perfect way to cap it off too. Obviously,
Will that be issue with snow removal?
Well, again,
say no.
see how much, again, going back to the want to incorporate radiant heat. Yep. The want, and that's gonna be budget. But again, as we look at a focus of the dollars needs to be in the monument itself. A focus in the dollars also needs to be in the overall square and what that cost incurred might save in maintenance and everything else. And then as far as the Medal of Honor location, the location, I agree, it's a great spot. It really showcases it well without interfering with any other stories to be told. I think there's probably still some refinement on what that will actually, the presentation would actually be itself. Still working on that. But again, what the rest of the crew here has said, this is a beautiful.
Hey, Ray.
Yes, sir.
Just a question, we've talked about the 3 panels and, pushing the 2 out, kind of opening it up a little bit to allow movement through the monument as much as it is around it. Would we be able to, just to give a little more space, say add a foot to the center panel so that the center panel stands a little taller than the 2 outside panels?
We could, I guess we look at the overall aesthetics. I'd leave that to the architect.
Yeah.
It's a good comment. I like that.
Mm-hmm. And because we're still on this topic, then would you see the flanking panels be brought forward, or would you see the name panel being brought forward?
What do you mean by brought forward?
If we were to stagger the 3 panels, so the 2 that are flanking it would be at a separate line, horizontal line than this middle panel. So these 2 would either be pulled forward, just throwing a number out, 2 feet, and this would stay in its location, or we take these 2 and push them back 2 feet and keep this in its current location. Because again, as we were saying 20 minutes ago, it would encourage the walking around of it and still having the left and right flanking panels spread apart a little more to again encourage the walking around, so they know that there's more than just what's on the face.
We could look at that one either way. Bring
Yeah,
the
if
name out.
I would say push the 2 outer panels back, but I would like slide them away from that center panel, maybe a foot or so, and then push them back a couple of feet. Because I'm thinking too, just like one of your, like the graphic that's behind the panels right now is a gentleman in a wheelchair. Can you get a wheelchair if we separate those panels out and push them back? Can a wheelchair get between the panels? Or does he still have to go all the way around to look at the back?
Yeah,
You spread it around so the wheelchair could go in between.
right.
So we
Yeah.
spread them around that far. What do we do if we have to add a panel?
Then bring the front panel forward. That leaves you space behind, in between the other. We could add a third smaller panel, kind of make a diamond shape out of it.
If you ever had to add more panels, would you ever add them on the left side of the screen, kind of mirroring the wall that is drawn? Would we ever put some more panels down there?
Certainly could.
Straight across, dress, right dress.
Symmetry.
I would think if we needed to add more panels, we would just come off in like an L shape from where it's at.
Well, in
Right,
all
right,
honesty,
right.
if we had to add panels, that would be a discussion for when that time comes. try to plan for it. But it would be a discussion for when that time comes, because who knows where architecture may be at that time frame too. Mhm. But I do like, again, Al had mentioned it, and we're all kind of hovering on it, is having the offset, the flanking panels offset further apart between the main panel, the center panel, but also pushing them at a different line. And that line would be at that 60-inch radius to allow for wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Panels aren't really that wide that it's gonna be an issue, that people are gonna wanna wheel their wheelchair between.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah, but you gotta remember, it's out in front of a county courthouse, so. It's just asking for somebody to complain about ADA compliance.
they can still have the needed ADA around the entire monument. However, a wheelchair, if you were to put a 36-inch spacing, the wheelchair would be able to navigate that with ease. Just the question is, how does that come into play with overall ADA compliance?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do less than a 36.
36 is your clearance, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, any other comments, observations, discussions? Very good. And again, kudos to all three of you for capturing our wandering thoughts and putting it into an organized presentation. There's a few minor tweaking as far as what we come up with now, but I think we're there. Yeah. Granted, we gave them a lot of good information to go off of, but it's still
exceptional.
Yeah.
Some apartment design states.
Okay. Then I want to jump back up to the agenda and see if we can hone in on names. So this last voting cycle, we had 8 names for the plaza itself. 4 came back with votes. One of them is 4 votes. The other 2 are with 2 votes. My question to you want to do a voice vote on the 4 remaining and hone in on the 1? Because again, these guys can incorporate that in that
I
next
think
rendering.
so.
Okay, then you guys grab your sheets. Pass one around here for these guys too. Stacy and Glenn, you want to go back to that original email? Must be a vacuum over there somewhere. So as far as the plaza names, follow through too. As far as the plaza names, as it sits right now, Defenders of Freedom Plaza has 2 votes. Freedom Plaza has 2 votes. Liberty Memorial Plaza has 2 votes. Morton County Memorial Plaza has 4 votes. Where do you want to go?
Morton County Memorial Plaza sounds good to me.
Yeah, it looks like it's
So-
pretty much wrapped it up already.
I like it.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm actually the one that put in Liberty Memorial Plaza. The idea behind that one is our Liberty Memorial Bridge. Part of which the cost of that bridge was, Morton County's responsibility. There was plaques or something the mothers of the World War I
Mhm.
veterans, were responsible for, I believe it was the plaques underneath the bridge. And so that bridge has, I was trying to tie that war, Liberty Memorial War Bridge to Morton County, Memorial Plaza, but I mean, I'm not opposed to any of them, really.
The Liberty Memorial Plaza is direct, Liberty Memorial Bridge is a direct connection to the World War I recognitions when that was established in 1923, if I remember correctly. And again, that was also the first bridge crossing across Missouri from, shoot, where was it? From South Dakota to Montana. Miles, hundreds of miles.
And there's a lot of shared cost share, but Memorial County did take a fraction of that cost share.
But again, also tying with Morton County Memorial Plaza. We still have Memorial Plaza. We're just identifying specifically as Morton County. So motion to accept Morton County Memorial Plaza.
I'll
As
make that
the-
motion.
Motion by Stacy, seconded by,
Second,
beat you to it, Glenn. Seconded by Scott. Any further discussion on naming this plaza the Morton County Memorial Plaza? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
All opposed, say nay. The name shall be the Morton County Memorial Plaza. Now for the quotes. Have you guys got your sheets handy?
Yes.
The first quote, no greater love hath a man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends, has 3 votes. Only the dead have seen the end of war, has 1 vote. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few, has 2 votes. Although no sculptured marble should rise to their memory, nor engraved stone bear record of their deeds, yet will their remembrance be as lasting as the land they honored, has 1 vote. In Flanders Fields, has 2 votes. The nation which forgets its defenders will be itself forgotten, has 1 vote. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow we gave our today, has 1 vote. Those who have long enjoyed such privileges as we have enjoyed forget in time that men have died to win them, has 1 vote. A nation that does not honor its heroes will not long endure, has 3 votes. My question, which ones do you want to strike? Which ones do you want to not consider?
How many are we trying to reduce this down to?
I would say 3. And again, I like Glenn's comment. Like I said, I think a couple of us were probably thinking the same thing for the Soldiers Cross. Have 2 on the flanking panels and 2 on just one face of the flanking panel. So that way we don't have it on the back side. We're forcing people to walk around that as well. We can have names on the back of the wall if we need to. But for the quotes, I would say leave it just on one side. Okay, everyone, if everyone agrees. and then having another quote that we can incorporate with the Soldiers Cross.
And that's the reason why I picked that one quote, only the dead have seen the end of war. This is a memorial for the war dead.
I know,
Uh.
we talked about seeing the existing marble that we have outside as maybe benches. Maybe we can engrave those with quotes as well.
I don't know that we have enough stone to do the benches because the stone is also, if I remember right, 12 inches at best. And if we're looking at doing the base for the Soldier's Cross, that's going to consume a good amount of stone just by shaping it. Right now, that's the intention, yes. Yep. Because that would be that marriage of existing and new. But
I would-
between that, go ahead.
I would say Flanders Field strike down just because it's so long, it's gonna be so hard to fit on. Where the other ones are more in line with what this memorial plaque is, in my mind. You talked about dropping one out.
Okay.
That's my input, just because it's such a long one.
Anyone else agree?
I do.
Okay, we got consensus there. Others?
Then the next one would be with 3 votes would be the Abraham Lincoln quote. To keep that one.
Okay,
We got 3 votes for the first one and 3 votes for the last one.
correct,
That's the 2 that go on the monument itself.
correct.
And then the next one would be the Winston Churchill one. With 2
Oh.
votes.
We're looking for one for the Soldiers Memorial. I don't know as if Winston Churchill's quote fits it though. I'd be more inclined to agree with Glenn. Only the dead have seen the end of war.
If in that same regard, if I had to choose one just for the Soldier's Cross, it would be either 1 or 2.
My vote would be John 1513 for the Soldier's Cross.
That one or the George Santayana.
That's how I
Or
feel
actually,
too.
When Glenn brought up the quote on the Soldier's Cross, Ray and I both looked at each other and said, "No greater love."
Okay, so is there a consensus that that one would stay and the focus would be for the Soldier's Cross?
Yeah.
Stacy is a yes. Glenn, you would agree? You're good?
Yeah.
No
I'm good.
greater love hath no man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. Or
Yeah.
the Soldier's Cross.
I'm okay with
Okay.
that.
Okay. And then we do have Abraham Lincoln, a nation that does not honor its heroes will not long endure. We have consensus on keeping that. Yes,
Yes.
Yes,
okay. So that opens up again. The other quote that had more than one vote is never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Winston
Hey,
Churchill.
real quick. I'm picturing this in my head now. We've got the first quote on the Soldier's Cross. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. And a nation that does not honor its heroes will not long endure on the 2 panels flanking.
Both quotes point to
Where is the majority of the names going to be on that center panel?
No, on the 2 flanking ones.
No, he's talking about the names.
Say again then, Glenn, what was your
The-
question?
Those two quotes would be on the flanking panels, correct?
Correct.
Most of the names for the memorial will be on that center panel.
Correct.
Right above all those names in the top, like a title on that main thing. Only the dead have seen the end of war, and all of their names are underneath it.
That sounds good.
Can you say poignant?
Huh?
Can't.
That is basically saying a message right there. But what was that second quote though? Was it the Winston Churchill?
think
Yeah, it'd
so.
be the Winston Churchill quote and the Abraham Lincoln quote.
Okay. Okay. So again, to reiterate, and I'll push this out for in the form of a motion or requesting a motion. The quote that would be considered for the Soldier's Cross would be, "No greater love hath a man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends." Quoting John 15:13. Again, that would be for the Soldier's Cross.
You need a motion for that?
We're gonna roll all this together if you guys don't mind.
Okay,
And then the flanking panels would be left or right, regardless, however that falls. On one flanking panel, never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few, by Winston Churchill. And the other would be, "A nation does not honor its heroes will not long endure," by Abraham Lincoln. Okay. So those two will be on the left and right panels. And then if we incorporate what Glenn's recent suggestion was, on the center panel that has the roster of the Morton County War Dead, at the top or at the bottom at a suitable location on that panel, also including the quote, "Only the dead have seen the end of war."
I can make a motion that says that.
Okay, motion by Stacy, seconded by Scott. Discussion.
I think we've pretty much discussed it all, haven't we?
Robert's rules. Go ahead, Nikki.
So if we were annoyed by the number of votes, really, then Flanders Fields had 2 votes versus the 1 vote that George Williams had.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the thing is if we put Flanders Field in, it takes up an entire panel.
Correct.
I mean, it's a
I don't know
beautiful
if it would,
poem,
yeah.
but
I don't
it's
know if
kind
it
of
would
a
take up an
long
entire panel,
read.
'cause yeah, I mean, it depends on how it's written. And the size of the font, but.
Right. In my envisionment for Flanders Fields, initially would be on the back side of the center panel.
Be great.
But again, having that center panel available front and rear, because we don't know how our name's gonna fall yet. Especially when looking at 164-ish. That we got a space in there.
So it wouldn't be. And how much space you have. We could maybe potentially add more quotes to it.
Possibly. We could, and we can discuss that as we go. Yep. Because again, right now, we're trying to get to the concept.
Yeah.
And from the concept, once we're finalized with that, with the final concept, then this relationship with the architects terminates and they invoice, and we build the scope of work for the actual work of the monument itself. And that's when we get into the finite details. And hopefully be able to work with this same team again. Because that would have to go out for an RFP. But to get through the concept. So when we're making the presentation, at least we got a little bit more solidification for the general public as they see this, and they'd be able to grasp onto it easier. So yes, we can definitely look at adding quotes once we have that detail finalized, because it will be engineered, so much spacing, so much, this style of a font, so on and so on. Okay. Does that answer the question? Okay. So again, the motion by Stacy, seconded by Scott, is the Soldier's Cross. We'll have John's 1513 quote. The Winston Churchill and the Abraham Lincoln quote would go on the monument flanking panels. And the George Santayana would go in conjunction with the roster of the Morton County Warden. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. And that's what we have.
Hey, I was just looking at something for the quote. The one for the cross. If you look at John 15:13, this quote that's in this thing here really elaborates on what that says. It's not word for word what the verse actually says. This quote here is more of an elaboration of what that verse is. Do we want to leave it, dare I say it, gender specific? Or do we want to generalize it? No greater love hath no one than this, that they lay their life down for a friend.
In a writing format, there's a way that you would reference that.
I'm not trying to.
Yeah, no, I know exactly where you're coming
you
from.
understand where I'm going.
Yep, I know exactly where you're coming from. At this point, we'll keep an open mind. If you guys are fine with it, we'll keep an open mind, and we'll bring that down the road.
Okay.
That work for you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then next item on the agenda. Next steps. So back to the architects, to Al and Jake. What are you looking at for a timeline to do whatever these final adjustments? They're relatively minor, yeah.
Working on them now. We can have them to you this week for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So let me ask the committee this. I've already had conversation with the county commission as a whole. Before we bring this project to the county commission for any consideration, I feel it would be in our best interest that we take it to the public first. That way it's still in the development stage. So however those public comments would come back into being, we'd be able to collect those at the respective audiences. And we as a committee would still work those if we see the need for it. So that allows the architects to finalize an overall final concept that this committee would accept. And if this committee accepts it, at that point, I'd be comfortable with taking it to the county commission as a whole. Okay. So that being said, and I had brief email dialogue with the architects, but I would like to take this next step with these adjustments, take this, lack of better words, take it on the road. Doing inviting public input. We can do a session here again, like we did that very first night. I think be in our interest to get one in the New Salem, Elmont area. Do one in the Hebron, Glen Ellen area, and then do one in the Flasher area. Each of those respective communities have tremendous veteran support, and it allows them direct dialogue, direct input, direct acknowledgement of this monument and our efforts to renew it while still getting their input on it as well. Greater awareness. Any comments from you guys? Would you support it?
Yeah, sounds good.
Then with your blessing, I'll just work with our architects here as far as scheduling their timelines. We'll work with the respective communities, find a location and timelines and get it out. If your schedule allows, I'll push it out to you guys, of course, but if your schedule allows, you are more than welcome to come. The focus would be reiterating from whence we began with the monument in age and damage and the efforts of this committee, and then what we've come up with for a concept and get the input from the citizens from that perspective. And that's why I've been specifically asking the architects to be part of that dialogue so they can explain why this come into play, that come into play, but also be able to grab whatever input will come back from those audiences. And then we flush it out from there. Okay, I see a lot of head nodding. So that being said, I guess next meeting date and time, we'll set that with based on the community outreach, the public presentations, and then we'll set a meeting date and time after that. And we'll hone in on final steps after that. Is that acceptable for the two of you? Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Then anything else for the good of the order? And meeting, the agenda is complete. We will adjourn this meeting.
Moved.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
As soon as we get the updates on this, we'll send it out as well. And like I said, schedule those meetings.
Okay.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Yep. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.